What Jennifer Did. The Perfect Lie. The Jennifer Pan Story. In a quiet Canadian suburb, there lived a daughter who seemed perfect. Honors, music, discipline, and dreams that made her parents proud. But behind the smiles, she built a second life, one made of secrets, lies, and control. And when the walls of her story began to crack, truth and illusion collided in a single night. This is what Jennifer did, and what that night revealed about love, fear, and the price of perfection. At first glance, she was everything her parents ever dreamed of. Polite, talented, brilliant. Jennifer Pan, born in 1986 in Ontario, Canada, was the daughter of Vietnamese immigrants who had built a quiet life from hard work and sacrifice. Her parents, Hue Han and Beach Ha, carried the weight of survival. They'd fled war, rebuilt from nothing, and believed discipline was love. To them, success wasn't optional. It was the only proof that their sacrifices had meant something. So they raised their daughter to be perfect. Piano lessons at 4, figure skating before sunrise, grades that could never fall below an A. Anything less wasn't just a disappointment, it was shame. Inside the Pan household, love sounded like routine. Dinner, homework, practice, repeat. Praise was quiet. Failure echoed loudly. To outsiders, Jennifer's life looked spotless. But behind the trophies and certificates, a small crack had begun to form, one only she could hear. It whispered, "What happens when I'm no longer perfect?" By the time she reached high school, that question had become a quiet panic. Her father tracked every report card, every lesson, every friend. Her mother's voice, though softer, carried the same expectations. Jennifer smiled through it all, learning to play the part of the obedient daughter. She learned early that truth had consequences, but lies could buy her peace, at least for a while. At 16, when her grades started slipping, Jennifer forged her first report card. A simple edit, a single letter changed, an A instead of a B. Her father smiled that night. For the first time in months, the house felt warm again. And so, Jennifer learned a lesson that would shape the rest of her life. Perfection could be faked, and love, if you lied just right, could still be earned. She wasn't born a liar. She was built by expectation and fear. It didn't begin with a plan. It began with a pause, the split second between being honest and being safe. By senior year, Jennifer's grades were slipping. A B felt like failure, an A- sounded like a door closing. So she opened a text editor, adjusted a single letter, and watched the house relax again. Her father's shoulders softened. Her mother served dessert. The family spoke about the future. That night, Jennifer learned how silence could be manufactured. In the months that followed, the edits multiplied. Report cards, progress notes, tiny repairs to a crumbling image. She told herself she was buying time to catch up, to become the person they thought she was. But the truth didn't return. The lie did. After graduation, she announced the next chapter, Ryerson University, Pharmacology. Her parents celebrated. A summer of pride turned into a September of routine. Early trains, heavy textbooks, long library hours. Only none of it was real. Every morning, Jennifer left home in a pressed jacket, rode the bus into the city, and slipped into a different life. Coffee shops, food courts, side streets, a notebook open, a highlighter uncapped, a performance underway. She learned campus schedules well enough to recite them. She learned library floor plans she'd never studied in. She forged tuition receipts, email confirmations, even a scholarship letter. The lie wasn't a sentence anymore. It was a world. In that world was Daniel Wong, a familiar face from high school, easy laughter, easy air. With him, the pressure loosened. She wasn't a daughter under inspection. She was a girl with a phone, a playlist, a future that sounded like freedom. They shared secrets in parked cars and food court corners. He was the proof that another kind of life existed, one without scorecards. The deeper she went, the more detailed the story became. Classes she didn't take became classes she barely passed. Labs she never saw became long nights she barely survived. When her parents asked about professors, she had names. When they asked about friends, she had faces. When they asked about stress, she smiled, said she was fine, and adjusted the letter on another report. Years passed like this, a double exposure, one image for home, one for the world. But every lie has an appointment it cannot miss. Her father asked to attend graduation. Jennifer nodded, of course, and invented another layer. Lost tickets, limited seating, a friend who could live stream from inside. She put on the cap and gown she'd borrowed, posed for photos she staged, and watched her parents beam at an achievement that didn't exist. That night, the house was warm again. The future was discussed again. And Jennifer felt the cold outline of a truth she couldn't outpace. Soon after, her father began to check. Dates, offices, advisors. One visit led to a closed door. Another led to a registrar who had no record. A phone call ended with silence. When the illusion finally shattered, it didn't break quietly. Rules descended like locks. No more Daniel, no late nights, no unsupervised trips, phone access rationed, movements tracked, a curfew like a countdown. Jennifer returned to the small room where her trophies glinted in the evening light. On the wall, proof of a past she had edited into being. In the desk drawer, a phone that buzzed with a name she wasn't allowed to say out loud. Outside, the neighborhood went on. Porch lights, sprinklers, dogs behind fences. Inside, a family reset themselves to order. Dinner, homework, practice, repeat. But the rhythm no longer soothed her. It scraped. And somewhere between the new rules and the old fear, the lie began to change shape. It stopped pretending to fix the past. It started reaching for the future. Because when a house is built on perfection, there are only two ways to breathe: be perfect or take the roof off. It began, like most tragedies do, not with anger, but with exhaustion. Jennifer had lost everything that made her feel alive. Her father had locked down her world. No phone, no Daniel, no freedom. Every hour was accounted for, every move tracked. To her parents, this was protection. To Jennifer, it felt like a cage. She began texting Daniel again in secret. At first, messages of longing, regret, small talk. Then came the storm beneath them, the whisper that would change everything. I can't live like this. What if it just stopped? Daniel didn't flinch. He knew people. He could help. And together, they built an idea that sounded like liberation. At first, it was simple. A fake robbery, staged chaos. Jennifer would survive. Her parents wouldn't. It sounded absurd, even to her. But somewhere between fantasy and fear, it started to make sense. Daniel introduced her to Lenford Crawford, a man who could make things happen. Then came David Milvaganan and Eric Carty, the enforcers. Numbers were exchanged, codes established, a deal whispered through text, 10,000 after it's done. Jennifer rehearsed her role. She'd unlock the door. She'd tie herself up, not too tightly. She'd call for help at the right moment. The plan lived in her phone like a second heartbeat. Texts filled with timelines and confirmations, late-night messages with Daniel, maps, instructions, and fear. Then came November 8th, 2010. That night, Jennifer moved through the house like a shadow. She texted, "Everything is ready." At 9:35 p.m., Daniel replied, "Soon." She unlocked the front door. Her parents were upstairs watching TV. Downstairs, the house felt unusually still, as if even the walls knew what was coming. At 10 p.m., 3 men entered, voices low, faces hidden. Jennifer played her part, panic, confusion, pleading. Her mother screamed. Her father demanded money. Jennifer whispered the alarm code, hands trembling not from fear, but from what she'd chosen. Moments later, 2 gunshots split the air, then another. Silence followed, only her heartbeat and the ticking of the clock. When the men left, Jennifer waited. She counted to 60, then picked up her phone and dialed 911. "Please, they tied me up. They shot my parents. Please hurry." Her voice was calm, almost rehearsed. The operator asked her to stay on the line. She obeyed, her tone steady, too steady. In the recording, you can hear the faint sound of footsteps. Police would later realize those weren't intruders, they were hers. She thought the plan would set her free. But the sound that night, the echo that never stopped, was her own voice calling for help from a crime she created. The first police units arrived within minutes of Jennifer's 911 call. They found her at the base of the stairs, hands behind her back, wrists loosely tied, the phone still clutched between them. Her voice trembled, but not from fear, from control. Upstairs, the house was too neat for chaos. No signs of forced entry, no broken locks, cash still in drawers, jewelry untouched, and yet the scene was deadly precise, as if someone had written the script in advance. Jennifer repeated the same story to every officer who asked. 3 men, masks, guns, a robbery gone wrong. They'd tied her up, demanded money, and left her alive. She sobbed at all the right times, but her timing and her calmness were wrong. One detective wrote in his notes, "No visible rope burns, no panic, no struggle, something rehearsed." Still, without evidence, suspicion alone wasn't enough until her father woke up. 11 days later, Hui Han Pan opened his eyes in a hospital bed. He had survived a gunshot to the face, barely. His jaw wired shut, his vision blurred, but his memory intact. When detectives asked what he remembered, his words shattered the illusion. "I saw her at the top of the stairs. She wasn't tied. She was walking freely." That single statement changed everything. The daughter was no longer the victim. She was the anomaly. Jennifer was brought in again, 3 times over the next 2 weeks. Each session stripped another layer from the story. First interview, she sat small in her chair, hands folded. She cried, told them about the intruders, about how they screamed for money. She was believable, almost. Second interview, detectives presented the first evidence, her cell phone records, dozens of messages with Daniel Wong sent during the hours before the crime, timestamps aligned with the attack. Jennifer blinked, adjusted her sleeve, and said softly, "Daniel just wanted to protect me. He said someone would scare my dad." Now there were cracks. Third interview, November 22nd, 2010. Detective William Goetz entered the room. He didn't accuse. He waited. He spoke gently, almost like a teacher. "Jennifer, we know the truth. We just need you to help us understand it." The silence stretched. Jennifer tried to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. Her breathing became rhythmic, shallow, deliberate, almost theatrical. Then, finally, she said the words that ended her own performance. I wanted it to stop. I asked him to make it stop. That was the confession, quiet, measured, a lie dismantled by exhaustion. What followed was evidence so exact, it read like a clockwork tragedy. Phone records showed over 100 messages exchanged between Jennifer and Daniel that day. Texts with Lenford Crawford, David Milvaganam, and Eric Carty coordinated every step. Don't forget, same plan, after 10. Door unlocked. Everything is ready. Police matched cell tower pings, GPS logs, and call times to the minute. The truth wasn't just told, it was time-stamped. Jennifer Pan was arrested first, then Daniel Wong, her boyfriend and co-conspirator, then Crawford and Milvaganam, the men who had entered the house. Carty, the final link, was caught weeks later. The girl who once forged grades and schedules had now forged a crime, and the pattern that had once fooled her parents had finally trapped her. Detective Goetz later said, "She cried without tears." That's when I knew. In the end, it wasn't evidence that convicted Jennifer. It was consistency. The same precision that had once made her a model daughter now mapped her downfall. Every lie she told was perfect, until the truth became even more precise. Every story ends when truth arrives. But for Jennifer, the arrival was slow and cruel. In the next chapter, the silence breaks, and the truth finally speaks. Part 2, The Confession, Truth Under Pressure. To be continued. Every secret waits to be revealed. Every silence that carries an echo. Every story is waiting to be told. This was her secret. What about yours? What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comments. Every voice matters. Subscribe and step into the echoes of truth.